Okay, here we go. It's Wednesday. Week 7, almost to midterm. And this is Introduction to Computers. Yeah, so what does this mean? Technology and cars. Well, at the end of Unit 3, we talk about technology and cars and comparing them and so forth. And by the way, sorry for the interruption here. Day 18 sessions. And so we talked about, cars have technology in them, and we have technology. So we talked about, years ago, computers had central processing units, some type of memory and some type of storage, and a way to put information in and out. Cars had 4 wheels years ago, and a drivetrain, okay? Combustible engines have been around for a long time, and now they're front-wheel drives, but they had steering wheels and so forth. Basically, these two things, sounds kind of funny, both of those have not, fundamentally they work the same, but drastically different in the technology or how the parts work. Okay? Now, cars, so let's say this list was cars. Cars get you from one place to another, and you don't need to know much about them in order to have them work. Okay? Technology, let's just use red here. Let's say this is tech. I think a little clearer here. Okay. DECH. Okay, technology, same thing. We pick up a phone and we use it to communicate to here. We can use a computer to do some spreadsheet work. Well, we need to know a little bit about that. Most people can word process okay. Most people can run a browser and search the internet and so forth. But this is going to have a huge impact. Already has had a huge impact. And it's going to have a further huge impact on what our lives are like. A car is still going to get us from A to B. This is going to change how we get from A to B, or if we need to go from A to B, and so forth. So that was my kick. This is going to make some larger changes in our lives, okay, than we imagine. And you might say, well, we'll have, driverless cars and all that. We will, but the impact here is going to be greater. We talked about buying laptops. Some people talked about devices, different ones that they've purchased and owned. Some people looked up some material. I was really looking for details: how much memory, which processor, how much storage, what kind of screen, battery life. There's a lot of things. Excuse me. That would go into buying a laptop, or you just pick a brand, pick a price, and buy it. I understand that. Okay, but the reason we're in this class is to become a little better knowledgeable, or a little more knowledgeable in what's actually in the devices. We're going to talk about this in a little bit. I've got some notes on that, the internet, and I got some notes on hypertext. And we covered the key points and so on. Okay, hypertext. Okay. We used to use text linearly. You would have to read through a document to find the information you wanted, and then if it referenced a document, you would have to go find that document and then read that. It's kind of like when I used to go to the library and I'd get out the microfilm and I'd scroll through a document and read through it, and then it would reference another document, and then I'd literally have to get up, walk over, check out that microfilm, bring it back to the device, put it in the device. And those of you who don't know what microfilm is in the library, I can understand that. But it was, they took newspapers and articles and condensed them in real small type, and was able to transfer that type onto film. And then you put the film in this little device, and you'd scroll through and read like old newspapers and so forth, because they couldn't keep the actual paper copies. But now we have hypertext. It's really cool. So simple case, you can be reading something and then they'll reference something and then that'll be a hyperlink that will take you to that document. Just think how much easier that is nowadays. So you can be moving around different materials all over the place. Or you can be reading in the text and all of a sudden see a word you want to know more about, and you can right click it, go out to some source online, and bring back the information you want. Crazy. Cool. You can define word, you get a word you don't know, you can quickly get it defined, and so forth. So this ability to link and move through materials has been great. It's created some issues. They call it Google Mush, where instead of reading the whole document, you just search for the terms you want and find a little snippet, and then you read the snippet, and it really doesn't give you a true context of the whole document. So you kind of get a mushed version. More on that later. And so I had the students look up the Skim, MailChimp, and Blender. We also talked about Unreal Engine. Okay, this is kind of more about multimedia. So the Skim, I think it was two young girls started this a few years back. I remember when they started it. And what they do is they give you the news, breakdown of the news in a short email, and I get those Monday through Friday. Okay, that's when they do it Monday through Friday. They take the weekends off, and then in there they have those blue links right inside the text. So this maybe will take you to the article in the New York Times, and this maybe will take you to BuzzFeed, and this maybe take you somewhere else. So you can get a brief overview of the information, and if you want to know more, you can link out to those. It's pretty cool. People are doing that all over the place. For example, MailChimp allows you to set up mailing lists so people can stay up to date with the things that you want to stay up to date. For example, I'm on one with the higher ed. I don't know what the Skim uses, but it's the same thing. It's these emails they can send out, and they give you some snippets of information, and then you can use hypertext to jump out and get more and bring it back. It's just a great way to do it. Anybody can do this. I think it's free up to a certain number of people. You know, and then when you get a certain number of people receiving emails, then you start paying. So anybody can start using it, and then as your company grows or your mail list grows, and then you get more people interested in your information, and then you can start paying. That's how it works. Multimedia, making 3D items, making things move, making animations. Blender is free. And you can use Blender. It's used for a lot of the people who want to do start out in video gaming. It allows you to do some things fairly quickly and pretty cool early using Blender. But it's really it's for like creating a certain kind of animation you might want to run in a web page to describe something or show something or have something cool animations grab people's attention. And so that would be like multimedia. You get authoring programs that do this. Unreal Engine is used for creating video games. Video games. There we go. And it allows you to use it free also, and if you start using it, and then if you start selling your games, once you reach a certain threshold, it was $3,000 in a quarter, quarter of a year. Once you reach that, any sales over that, you pay them 5%. Interesting. great marketing tools to get, we can get people started, but if you're actually making money using their product, then they need a little kickback. That's way cool. Okay, so last thing today. This wasn't last two things. One of them, 1982, Danny Hillis was on the internet, and he talked about that first list of emails. He talked about the internet was really built on trust. He got the 3rd domain ever on the internet, and he kidded about, yeah, I could have got a few more, but that wouldn't have been nice. Okay, yeah, that's like parasitic type money earning. You don't bring any value to anything, you just cause people to pay more for things. I think it's amazing how much things like TCP/IP was created, but people didn't have a copyright or a patent on it. That'd be a better word. No, they just gave it out free for people to use, and that's what makes the internet work. The internet couldn't exist without that. And the internet wouldn't be affordable if we had to pay somebody for every time we send a packet through the internet. So they just made it free. Okay, I probably overemphasize that, but anyway, there's a lot of things in the tech world that way. He talked about a couple other major things in terms of the internet. Here, let me back up here. Okay, in terms of the internet. He, see if I can write it here. He talked about how we really don't know who's all on the internet. We really don't know. We don't know how much it's changing. We don't know how much people are using it. So he talked about we should have a backup plan, and we may by now. Okay, we may have a backup plan. But there has been a thing a couple of years ago, whether you understood what it was, but there was a denial of service attack on DNS, and there was a large part of the internet, mostly on the East Coast, that didn't function for a while. And it left a lot of people sitting. Okay, and that's the things we're worried about there. Last thing. Oh, by the way, if you look up, the name was at the beginning of the video, Hillis, H-I-L-L-I-S, look for his TED Talks. He has some good TED Talks, and he talks about this. You could find it. It's a few years old. Last thing, spreadsheets. We just did a minor review. We talked about absolute value. Remember using absolute and relative value in addressing. Make sure you're using formulas. You're not calculating by hand. You've got to use the round to get the right answers. And then charting. Making sure your charts are clear, easy to read, and so forth. And when you get stuck, you got to let me know so I can help you out. Alright, and that is it for Wednesday.